Now, in my last video, I talked a lot about this analogy to building the culture of a basketball team is similar to trying to grow roses in Antarctica. It just won't happen. Doesn't matter how good your seeds are. It doesn't matter how good of a gardener you are. If you're not in the right environment, if you're not producing the right kind of culture, then your results are going to be for naught. Now, in this video, I want to expand upon that example even further. Just like Antarctica was the environment or the culture that you build, today we're going to talk about the roses or the seeds that you're actually using to build your program or to build your team. And the seeds represent the players. See, I have a conviction that every single person in life either sees themselves as a winner or a loser. Now, this might not be who they actually are, but this is how they see themselves. This is how they identify. They either identify as a winner or as a loser. And the sad reality and truth of the matter is, most people, if they're honest with themselves, see themselves as a loser. And honestly, how could they not see themselves as a loser, given our society, the social pressures, and just their home life? I'll give you an example. Let's say you got a team of 10 high school students. Statistically speaking, at least 5 of them are growing up in a broken home. 4 of them are growing up without their biological father. 1 of them will experience 2 or more divorces before they turn 18. 2 of them are or will be depressed. 7 of them will start drinking before they graduate high school. 3 have ridden in the car with a drunk driver, endangering their own life. 3 have been bullied. 3 are bullies. And 4 are sexually active. With the breakdown of the nuclear family in America, it's no wonder that many kids don't have that foundation that sets them up for having high confidence, high self-esteem, and being able to see themselves as a winner. Combine that with the social media highlight reel that they're constantly seeing on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, where everybody posts an edited version of their life. Essentially, social media is the highlights of your life. And if all you're seeing are the highlights of your friend's life or the highlights of celebrities' lives or the highlights of other people's lives, and you don't have a lot of highlights, it can make you feel like you're a loser. Everything in their life points to them not being good enough, not being good looking enough, not being smart enough, not being sexy enough, not being happy enough, i.e., everything points to them being a loser. Basically, their blueprint has been set to you suck. And so the reality of it is that when kids play basketball, a lot of them are using basketball sort of as a medication or an escape. For them, basketball is the one place where they can escape their crappy life, where they can escape all the social pressure, and they can escape everything that tells them they suck. They can just focus on playing basketball and playing a game, and they don't have to worry about their home life. They don't have to worry about their homework. They don't have to worry about all these things in their life that tell them that they are a loser. But just because basketball is their escape, or just because basketball is their medication from a society that tells them that they suck, it doesn't change the fact that on the inside, they believe that they are losers. And you can always tell when you walk in the gym which person believes that they're a loser and which person believes that they're a winner. There's telltale signs. You can see it in their attitude, how hard they go when you're not looking. Are they serious about getting better? How accountable or responsible are they to their teammates? You can see it in their body language. Do they slump their shoulders? Do they beat themselves up every time they make a mistake? See, when a loser makes a mistake, he feels like it's the end of the world, because he feels like if he makes another mistake, his teammate, his coaches, and maybe even his parents will no longer accept him. But when a winner makes a mistake, he knows that that's just part of the process, and that mistake doesn't define him. But a lot of kids have to be taught that. A lot of that has to be built into kids. And as a coach or as a leader on your team, you are in a very unique position to help build that person into a winner. Have you ever wondered why some players don't work hard? Like, there's some kids that get in the gym and they bust their butts every single practice. Then there's kids who will bust their butts sometimes, but sometimes they take time off. And then you got those other kids who, at the end of the day, they're just going to do enough just to get by. Well, if you think about it, if you believed you were a loser, Why would you try hard? It doesn't matter how hard you try. It doesn't matter how hard you work. You're never going to get better. Again, if you got a team full of 10 kids, I guarantee you that more than half of themselves outside of basketball view themselves as a loser. See, as a coach, your team is either a reflection of you or a reaction to you. Either they're reflecting all the good that you bring into their life, or they're reacting to all the bad that you are putting into their life. And as a coach, you need to reflect or mirror everything good about the game of basketball and about your players. How do you help your team to be a reflection of you instead of a reaction to you? Well, it's just like making a pot of tea. The first thing you got to do is you got to pick your tea bag. And this is an exercise that I like to do. You can do this exercise either mentally or you can write it down. If you write it down, obviously it's going to be more effective. But what you do is you consciously pick the people that are on your team. Even if you were just some volunteer coach and you got some kids assigned to you, you still have to show them that, hey, I want you on the team. And so one of the things that I like to do and that I teach other coaches to do is take every individual on your team, again, do this in your head or write it down on a piece of paper, and list one reason why you want that person on their team. And it can be something like this. I like Jonathan on my team because he works hard. I like Rachel on my team because she always has good energy. I like Michael on my team because he's really smart. I like Stacy on my team because she always gives her best effort. The point of this is to find something non-basketball related that you like about your player. Look, at the end of the day, you're a human too. And humans tend to give more time, more energy, more respect, and do more for people that they like rather than that they don't like. And so often what I've seen a lot of times is that coaches can think about all the reasons why they don't like their players or why they don't like the parents or why they don't like the administrator. And you actually have to change that by, like I said, picking out your tea bag. Pick reasons why you like your players. The second thing you got to do is you got to put them in hot water. You know, there's an old adage that says people are like tea bags. You don't know what's in them until you put them in hot water. And so what I like to do is something I call the hot water drills. And the hot water drills aren't necessarily a particular set of drills. It's just about how you run your drills. Having that time in practice and throughout the whole season where you constantly are turning up the intensity. What can happen a lot of times in practices is like the first week or two, everyone's excited, everyone's got a lot of energy. But by midway during the season, most of us are just going through the motions. And so I like to always do the hot water drills. Always try to crank up the intensity so that you can really see what's in them. Go right into another drill right after they got done conditioning. Do a one-on-one drill, but make it to where they can only take 2 dribbles or 1 dribble. Add different caveats in it that puts them in high pressure situations. Do a situational drill where you're down by 8 with 2 minutes left to go. And so you're constantly putting your players in hot water. And what's going to happen, like the adage says, is you're going to find out what's in them and they're going to find out what's in themselves. And then the last thing you do when you go to make a tea, after you pick it out, you put it in the hot water, then you just pour it in. And what I mean by pour as a coach is you need to verbally communicate what you see. And that means the good, the bad, and the ugly. Everyone talks about having confidence and having self-esteem, but we don't really talk about how you actually develop confidence and how you actually develop self-esteem. Well, it's the same way we attribute other qualities to other people. When you see someone that you work with at your job, they show up every day, they work hard, they're always on time, they're one of the best one, then you will kind of deduce to yourself that this is a good employee, or this is a hardworking guy, or this is an honest guy, or whatever that may be. Well, we do that same thing with ourselves, except oftentimes we, and particularly young people, have a hard time seeing the good things that they do. And so they must be reminded of the good things that they are doing. Look, I know as a coach, Our default position is to tell players where they are messing up. And in some ways, that's literally what we're there to do. We're there to take basketball players who aren't that good at basketball or who are at a certain level and get them to the next level. So our job kind of entails us being critical. And you do need to be critical. It can't be all positive, but there does need to be that positive in there, that positive reinforcement, that constantly letting the players know specifically how you see them progressing. That's going to help them see it in themselves. And when they see how they are progressing, they're going to work harder. They're going to be more encouraged, and they're going to begin to see themselves as winners. But it's not all good. You can't just always say the good. You also have to say the bad and the ugly. But you got to be specific. You can't just be like, don't let them get the rebound. It has to be something more specific. Like, hey, you got to put your body on someone to box them out in order to get the rebound. Or you got to attack the ball at its highest point. It's very specific. And so there's no way getting around it. There's no ambiguity. Also, when you're very direct and very specific in your critique, it can't be misinterpreted. See, a lot of times what happens is, as a coach, we are saying one thing and we think we are communicating, hey, get that rebound, but all they hear is, coach thinks I suck. And so if you are able to specifically communicate what they need to improve on and the areas that they are currently not good at, it helps them to know that, number one, you believe in them, you're watching them, and you care about them. And number two, it helps them to do the things that they need to do to get better. As I said earlier, we see ourselves based on what we see ourselves doing. And players need to see themselves getting better every single day. And so as a coach, it's up to you to help the players see themselves. You got to help them to see themselves getting better at the skills, i.e. doing drills. You have to help them to see themselves contributing to the team, i.e. more playing time. You also have to help your players grow in understanding the game, i.e. better basketball IQ. See, we're all going to do the drills. It's why I don't focus a lot on drills on my channel. See, some people think like at Duke, they got some special top secret drills that no one else has, and that's why they're so good. No, they're probably running very similar to drills that you run at your youth level or at your high school level, maybe with a little bit more intensity, but it's about how they run it. That is what makes the difference. But drills are very important, because they actually have to get better at the game. You can be the most positive coach in the world, but if a player's jump shot doesn't improve during the season, or if they don't get better at dribbling, or if they don't get better at rebounding and footwork and passing and the other fundamentals of the game, it doesn't matter. All our positive reinforcement will be for naught. So you have to do the drills to help them to get better at the game. But you also have to help them see that they are a valuable member of the team. Now, I'm not going to tell you how you do your playing time, but as a rule of thumb for me, if I'm coaching a pay-to-play league, something like AAU, then I try to give every single player at least a quarter and a half. And depending on skill levels, I'll oftentimes switch the lineups, so that way the team always can stay competitive in the game. But players do need to see themselves contributing. If they're not getting playing time, then why are they on the team? What are they there to do? Again, I'm not one here to tell you that you got to play every single player. You as a coach, you're smart enough to know how and when and how to distribute your playing minutes. But it is something to think about. But also, lastly, they got to grow in understanding the game of basketball. Increase basketball IQ. Sometimes people aren't making mistakes in games because they don't have the skills. They just don't have the knowledge. And so every single day, you need to focus on teaching them something new. And this is how I do it. Drill less so you can teach more. Teach more by saying less. Say less by asking more. See, again, the drills will never go away. We're never going to get away from the drills. But drills only engage the body. The questions engage the mind. So it'd be good sometimes to, in the middle of a drill, stop and ask a question. Hey, why did that work? Or why didn't that work? Or what are your options if you catch a pass on a wing in this set or in this situation? These kind of questions are helping the kids grow in the knowledge of the game. And regardless of skill, that is something that every single player, 1 through 10 or 1 through 12, can get better at. Because every single person can understand the game a little bit better. See, because once you build a winning environment where the ideal becomes the expectation, and you foster a culture of leadership, you foster a culture of teamwork and accountability and all these things, and then you get mentally prepared to really go in and individually help your players get better, both physically, mentally, and emotionally every single day. See, now you got the right environment. Now you got the right seeds. And the last part, the wins, they're going to be easy to come by. And we're going to talk about that in the next video. Hey, that's the video. Like it if you like it. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you next time. Peace.